excited. Sherrie's allowed me to put this work up and create a body of work that really has kind of evolved, and I want to take you through the evolution of it from an idea that I had with the crayon works several years back. And I think the process is interesting because it shows a little bit about how an artist actually, in general, kind of develops something and then takes it to the next step, and then the next step, and the next step. And in my opinion, this is the final, perhaps it's the final step, you never know, but of the fruition of what I consider to be the color alphabet. And it's a very simple idea. And I developed it, it was funny because I developed the crayon work, which you might have seen, a while back. I think it's about 6 years ago. And one of the things that I was doing 6 years ago was producing very photorealistic, as much as you can with pixels that are 1/4 of an inch and made of wax or crayons, photorealistic pieces. But I was not satisfied with the photo. I had been a painter in the past and had worked with the idea of text and paint, text and figure, text and representation. So I've always incorporated elements of language in the art itself. And to me that was really important. So when I went to this new technique, this new system, one of the things that I found was lacking was my ability to actually write the word infinity or write the word never, which you can't paint and you can't photograph. And so I tried to come up with a system of writing in the crayon work itself. And one way was to actually, use Helvetica text, and that would take up the entire piece for the letter H or the letter N. It wasn't working. So I had to come up with a system, and one of the systems I thought was, I'll just take somebody's, or some standard idea, like resistors have color coding, color bars, right? And resistors, the color for gray is, number 1. And it goes, anyway, the resistors have a pretty much a 1-to-1 color to number thing. And in science, we all know that. So what I did is I went out to the internet, like that's what you're supposed to do. And unless you're a graduate student, don't ever use it. Anyway, okay. And then I went out and I said, okay, well, what's the color mapping system for, English or whatever? And there was none. And this was like 5, 6 years ago. I'm like, well, maybe I'm just not really good at using the Google engine, which I'm not. Which I am pretty good at. But so I struggled. I didn't understand why somebody had not developed in the last 300 years, 500 years, 1,000 years, 2,000 years. Why hasn't somebody not developed some type of system to map with just a scientific mapping, a 1-to-1 color to alphabet? I still don't know. But I have a kind of a feeling based on that. Anyway, so I couldn't find anything. I searched and searched and searched. And so not having found anything, that means I have to develop it myself. Well, I've kind of done that before in the past. It's kind of like what my work is about. So I developed a system of assigning colors to the alphabet. It's not indiscriminate, but it kind of is based on frequency. I'm using English as the most important language. For all those in modern language who can't, sorry. You're using at least a Latin-based stuff. Anyway, but the frequency, the letter E comes up a lot. And so what I did is I mapped the primary and the secondary letters to, vowels, which are used often, and kind of developed a system based on that. Once I had the system, I was able to put the crayons into the work, and all of a sudden I had textual meaning. I was happy. Everyone was happy. Sherrie, you were happy. Yeah. And then, so one of the first pieces I did, and I brought an example. This is in German, so you won't be able to read it unless
See, this is what I was talking about.
But this is Hamlet's soliloquy, translated in German. We don't have the...
How do you say it?
How do you say
It's widely translated.
And you can read it later at your own convenience. Anyway, it is German, but they do use a Latin-based alphabet. There are some issues with, translating umlauts and sz, and I didn't care. So, I'm an artist. Anyway, so I was very happy with the color alphabet as a way of littering my beautiful pieces of crayon art with text to make them either more meaningful or more annoying, depending on if you're the buyer. And so I thought to myself, well, there's an idea. Like, I like the color alphabet. I can't believe that people haven't done it before. So I wanted to take it even further. Right? So I thought it would be really cool to do a little research on color, which is what I did. And I found that the color is actually gendered. I mean, the ability to discriminate color is actually really based on if you're female or male. You're going to be able to read this awesome mating jacket. So I'm saying I'm trying to attract females, but
hey.
But it's interesting. I found that there is ability. There's color blindness. 1 in 10 men are colorblind, and just based on the ratio in here, I mean, just seeing like 40 men. 4 of you guaranteed are not able to take part in this beautiful, very feminine, textually oriented art. Because 1 in 10 men are colorblind, whereas for women, the statistics right now, just based on looking at it, is 1 in 100. There's a 50% chance there's not a single woman in here is colorblind. It's an interesting thing. It's color is gendered, right? It's an interesting way. And if you map language, map text, map this, this history, our memory, into something that's gendered like that, heaven forbid what it would do, if we thought about it over the last 2,000 years. Like if we had developed, instead of cuneiform, if we had developed a way of using, like the Aztecs did with not beading, but they actually used color yarn fabric, and they actually tied it into knots, and developed a way of recording information based on those color knots. It's interesting, like how men would be excluded just genetically from the power structure that is memory of society. I thought that was fascinating. Anyway, so what I did is I made this mating jacket, which you see, and it's full of come-ons and just lots of stuff to read,
So there is a running text.
Anyway, I found all these, it was fantastic, I found all these interesting come-ons from the internet. Again, this place I love to go. These are physically out there, you can read them, and that's why you're attracted to me. Anyway, but what I had been missing, I guess, with all this, with all these little iconic things. I mean, one other thing I thought would be really fascinating would be to translate Wittgenstein, who's one of my favorite philosophers, his work on color, right, into color, his remarks on color. And so what I did is I developed a font system online and actually translated his entire work into color, put it up as a PDF, and now I'm sure to be sued. Because you can now read it for free, and it's translated. It's not the original in English. Because I can't read the original German. But I do have the German piece for sale if you want that. Anyway, so the remarks on color was translated. But again, these are all iconic. And so what I really want to do is take it to the next level and do an entire body of work based on the color alphabet. And that's what this talk, which is almost half over, is really about. Just in case you guys are checking if you double parked or whatever. So I wrote some notes, and I don't want to miss anything, but I really want you to think of this as art as text, or text as art. What you should be seeing on the wall is not colors, because I didn't have a clue what this was going to work. This work was going to turn out like when I started, and I didn't have a clue while I was doing it. I mean, I had an idea, whatever, but I mean, I didn't allow myself to actually choose the works based on the color. I chose it based on the titles. So for me, I had a lot of fun thinking about the show for the first 3 or 4 months. I got a lot of feedback from a lot of great people that work at Denison, from Gabrielle, who had to listen to all my stupid titles, and some of the more pithy ones, which I actually introduced in the show. But the difficulty, I think, in general with this new body of work, which is really supposed to be you thinking about how is the title related to the object? How is the title that you're seeing this new font, this new alphabet. How is this, how is it related and how is it not related? And these are not color field paintings. These are not stripe paintings. These are not paintings that every painter on this planet must have done at least one of. These are not striped paintings. And it's difficult to get that across. These are rule-based paintings based on a set of rules and axioms that I put into place. And the art, I believe, the art lies in the rules. It lies in the system, just like a flower. The flower, the beauty of the flower, it can lie on the surface. That's nice. It can lie in the potential seed, but I think it lies in the rules and the structures that binds it to actually allow that flower to grow, mature, blossom, and then die. Those are where the real art, in my opinion, are. And that's what this work, hopefully, I think, I would love it to be about. Now, that's not the main jacket, but it's the work on the wall.
Sorry.
So,
You're fine. No.
so I took that approach to this work. Now, in the crayon alphabet, or using the alphabet to introduce text into the crayon work, what I had available to me, and the reason I chose color, was that the crayons are located in a grid. So I have location, and I have then the value of the color, right? The saturation hue, the color of the crayon is one way of thinking about it. What I wanted to do with the striped paintings, and the reason I picked stripes instead of circles or something else, was I wanted to introduce one more axis or one more variable that had some play. And that is the width of the strip. That third location, because if we're assuming you read from left to right, and thank God we found the upside down work, I would be so embarrassed. If you're reading an upside down work, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. But we found them. Thanks guys. But the idea is like, you can read from left to right, I'm assuming that, and I'm assuming you're not male, so you can totally read all the colors. But one thing that I wanted to play with was the idea of completely having this be my voice. And so what I did is, after I found all these titles, and I'll talk a little bit about how